y'all, it's Dan Book Nook Noggin here with a review which I should have had this read and reviewed by last month, but I always point out to you guys I am a very slow Kindle book reader. I'm here to review Severed by Joshua Marsella. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little bit about this book for those of you who I'm going to pretend like you haven't even read Scratches. I'm going to pretend you have not read Scratches when I first start to talk about this book. But at one point, I'm going to say, if you have not read Scratches, you should probably stop watching because it's going to get spoilery. There's no way at all I can possibly do a full-on review of this very short book without being spoilery, because you have to have had read Scratches at a certain point when I start reviewing this. Now, one of the things I can say, if you have not read Scratches, is that this is a prequel to Scratches. These are the events that had happened prior to Scratches, but by all means, I'm going to suggest that you read Scratches first. You're going to want to read Scratches first. It just makes more sense to read these in publication order versus the order of, prequel versus, you know what I mean. And I do believe that Josh is working on a third and final volume for this storyline. I have to say, I really enjoyed his Scratches book. I really enjoyed this one too. I don't want people to assume that just because someone reads something slowly that means it's just not enjoyable. I think a lot of people, when it comes to books, they always gauge how fast somebody reads something on how much they liked it. You can't gauge that with me, because there'll be books I really enjoy and maybe I just don't have the time to invest in reading it like in one day flat like a lot of other people do. So I want to throw that out there. That don't ever think that just because I've seen some people plow through books, and I feel like if you plow through a book too fast, you're overlooking a lot of things. That can happen. But yeah, the main character is George Hanscott. He is the grandfather in Scratches, and this takes place during the Vietnam War in the 1960s. I love the fact that Josh, I know he's a fellow music lover like I am, and I love the fact that he kind of interspersed different songs and different musical music things, like the tape cassette player. I didn't even know the tape cassette player was invented in the 60s. I just assumed it was like a new thing that came out in the 80s. But yeah, I mean, he kept me on my toes. I definitely had to look that one up to see when that was invented. But yeah, it was really interesting. We have this band of soldiers. I love the banter, the witty banter. You can tell these guys, they've been together for a while. So there's the whole camaraderie of them being together. They're visiting temporarily in this small Vietnam village, and things happen. They learn of a local legend of this guy living in the jungle who is, every once in a while, he comes and snatches children away from the village. And they say, you know what, we're a whole squad, a whole platoon of Marines, let's go deal with this. So that's as much as I can tell you without spoiling things. Right there. You're going to want to stop here. I gave this book 4 out of 5 star rating on Goodreads. Now you can leave if you have not read Scratches, because we're going to get into some territory that's going to be kind of spoilery if you have not read Scratches. So leave now if you have not read Scratches. I found this to be really kind of interesting. I like the fact that Josh kind of gives this haunting, this menacing kind of ghost some background and kind of an origin story. It's kind of, I felt like it was a nice kind of origin, but at the same time I felt like it could have been a little more elaborated on. That supposedly this creature, this spirit, comes from a limbo-esque kind of area, I guess. So, yeah, I found that to be I wish that it could have been expanded upon a little bit more. If we could have like explored how exactly this spirit had come to be in the world and why it chose Vietnam of all places, that would have been a little more interesting to hear more about that. I definitely want to hear more of this inner dialogue because George is still there, trapped in his body, alongside with this spirit. I found that dynamic to be really interesting. It kind of gave it an extra edge that kind of makes you think about what happened in Scratches. And yeah, very short book, but very good in my opinion. I know a lot of people tend to gripe about typos and like grammatical errors and stuff like that. I overlooked that stuff because I know that he's independent. I don't know if I think he may have hired somebody else edit it for him. There were a lot of things that I think they had missed. I saw a lot of errors when it got closer to the end of the story. But you know, I'm not judging the story based on that because you know what, that can be easily fixed, and it's not a big gripe for me. But yeah, I did enjoy this. I gave it a 4 out of 5 star rating on Goodreads. If you really enjoyed Scratches, you're definitely going to want to check out the Severed. I think that one it makes the story that much more interesting. And, you know, Josh has a way of writing dread and just this supernatural kind of element that he adds to the story was kind of intense at times. I found it to be really cool. Like, some of the gore and stuff like that happened in this book were kind of interesting. If I had more time, I probably would have read this in a very short time. I know that a lot of people that I talked to, they read it like in a few days or a day or whatnot. But you know, I couldn't commit that much time to reading it all in one burst. I probably should have finished this last month, but I just now finished it. So that's what I got for you guys. Of course, as always, for you folks in the U.S., I will have a link to Amazon down below. Hopefully I can find it on Amazon. I know Amazon's been having like a glitch with their book situation in indie authors. I'm going to try to see if I can find this on bookshop.org for you international folks. And if you don't mind, if you got something from watching this video, buy me a coffee or two. I could use the energy and the motivation. And if you came here looking for horror book recommendations or reviews, by all means hit that subscription button. And while you're there, hit that notification bell. This has been Dan. This has been Severed by Joshua Marsella. Stay healthy and be good to each other.